Peter Arpesella, welcome to Italy.
Thank you.
Could you please introduce you?
Of course. My name is Peter Arpesella, and like I say, I am made in Italy, marketed in the USA, and available worldwide. So I grew up in Italy, in Rimini. My family owned the Grand Hotel of Rimini, so Federico Fellini was a dear family friend, and I was lucky enough to be artistically in contact with him. And then after a brief moment of madness as an investment banker, I became an actor and moved to New York City, where I was lucky to start working pretty soon and pretty quickly. And after 6 years there, then I moved to Los Angeles, which quickly became my home and where I live and work now as an actor and writer.
Okay. What are the main differences you have found between Italy and USA, of course?
Wow, that's a big question. The USA is big, is very big, and so there is room for creativity to come quickly into being. It's paradoxical or funny, but the space has an influence on how easily and quickly things come into being, and creatively is a very free place. If something works, if something has an audience, it lives.
As an Italian, how do you see our country from abroad, from distance? How does Italia appear to you?
It's beautiful. Italy is absolutely beautiful. I'm always very happy to come visit every year with my wife, and it's a beautiful country. And also a lot of Italy, Italian culture, Italian art, Italian mannerisms are part of me. So I feel home here, and this culture influences my work and my art. Even if I write and act in English, but still.
Okay. What's the language in which you dream, write, think? Italian or English?
English. Since the day I landed in the States, when I was fairly new, I knew English, but not as fluent as I am now. For some reason, I always felt home in the States. I always think maybe a prior life I spent one or a few in the States, and so I always felt very at home, and I always started thinking in English and dreaming in English. Yes.
So also your first book, Good Like This, is in English.
Yes.
Could you tell something about it?
Of course. It's a successful family in New York City for whom life is spectacular. He is an ambitious investment banker. She is a successful artist. They have a talented and delightful 7-year-old daughter. But life changes dramatically when the wall of their secrets comes crashing down on them. And he is a badly managed diabetic, and she is a closet addict for the best part of their relationship. And when he discovered her addiction, at first he's very righteous. He thinks that he is in the right because he has a chronic disease, and she, chooses to be addicted. And what happens is, soon enough, because he realizes that he's losing his life and the love and trust of his daughter, he signs up with a cutting-edge research project about the effects of stress on diabetes. And through this process, he realizes that in the end, there isn't that much of a difference between an addict and somebody who chooses not to take care of themselves, even if they have a disease, because there are both ways of not taking responsibility for ourselves and having an excuse for not being fully involved in reality with 100% of ourselves. It's a way of being in denial.
Of course, in the book there is a personal experience about disease.
Yes.
How did you react when you discovered that you have to afford during all your life the disease?
It's funny. I was 7 years old, so the shock was not on me. The shock was on my parents. I thought. I remember we had a nurse coming to give me the shots every day. And 1 week into it, I took the syringe from her hands and I said, well, I'm going to have this thing for the rest of my life. Might as well start now. And so from that day on, I just gave myself insulin shots and stuff like that. So that has never been a dramatic moment for me. What changed my life is when I looked at diabetes not as a disease or a monster that I had to tame, but okay, I have this thing, you don't have it, so I have something you don't have. And what does it do? How do I benefit from this? And diabetes is a funny thing because everything I eat, do, or think has an impact on my metabolism and therefore my blood sugar level. So it's a little bit like having, like Paul says in the book, a superpower. If something is not good for me, if it stresses me and if it aggravates me, I see it immediately in my blood sugar level fluctuations. So it's in a way a blessing because it forces me to be extremely honest with myself. And also, we were talking earlier, I often say I think that diabetes saved my life. My family history is a little intense, and sometimes I think if I didn't have diabetes, maybe I would have gone off on the deep end of drugs and alcohol, and because I found myself using diabetes to get high or not be 100% in reality with hypoglycemia or finding excuses to or abusing insulin. And so when I was forced to be honest with myself, I said, oh, look, maybe there isn't that much of a difference between me and an addict. And this concept, this heart thought or main concept is what is at the heart of Good Like This.
And I think that you have afforded the disease also with irony. Mm-hmm. Because you wrote that you have done a special trip when in coma.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a good way to afford it.
Yes. I think life would be very boring without irony and humor. And so I like to go to it, not to be glib or in denial, but to add color and texture to life. So yes, absolutely. Diabetes has given me a sensitivity, a sensibility, and a level of emotional life that not everyone has. You know, without addictions and without substances. And I think that that's ironic. That's funny that, you know, I find color and humor through a coma, or my experience of this coma, looking at my mother and telling myself I am like 11 years old, and I'm telling myself, okay, I can't let go because if I close my eyes, she is going to go mad. I think that's funny.
Yeah, it could be funny. Apart from writing, traveling, of course, playing, what are your patients' interests? Addiction, dependencies, sailing. I know that you like sailing.
Yes, I grew up sailing. My wife and I love to sail together, and the relationship with the ocean, the wind, is something very precious to me, and so yes, sailing is definitely something that I like to do anytime I can. I also love life. So in all its ways, I love stories, so I'm always very interested in, you know, anything that can be a source for a story. Even, you know, if I'm not working, I look at things as a storyteller. Yeah.
What are your projects for the future?
I am writing a memoir, a short memoir that hopefully I get done in the next few months, and it'll be out because I see that you might have seen my blog, and people that have similar experiences to mine in relation to diabetes respond very passionately to my way of being personal with a touch of humor. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to be sharing something more like in a book format. And then also as an actor, my wife is Annie Wood, and she's an actor and writer, and she has created a web series that had beautiful success on its first season, Best of the Web, on Virgin America, and won a few prizes. Over 1,700,000 views, and so she now has been approached by a new director and new producer, and will go into season 2, and I am told that I have a bigger role than in season 1, so I will be working on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. And I also would like to thank very much Concetta Bru for her time, her talent, and her words about Good Like This. Thank you very much, Concetta.